The Syrian people commemorated this October 6, the 48th anniversary of the October War of Liberation against the Israeli occupier. This occasion takes on special significance at a time when Syria is making progress in regaining its prominent position at the Arab, regional and international levels following the liberation of large parts of its territory from terrorist groups and other foreign invading forces. We have more in the following report with our correspondent Hisham Wannous.
In addition to continuing the fight against the last terrorist strongholds on Syrian soil, the different formations of the Syrian Arab Army commemorated the victory achieved 48 years ago against the Israeli occupation with military parades, demonstrating their full readiness to complete this victory today with the total liberation of Syrian territory from the extremist groups and other foreign invading troops led by the United States occupation forces. The soldiers of the Syrian Arab Army are the shield that defends our homeland against the attacks of the enemies. And on this date, we congratulate our brave soldiers and reaffirm our confidence that their efforts in the field will soon culminate in the liberation of the entire soil of the homeland and the recovery of our dignity, just as the Syrian soldiers did in the October Liberation War. In the Liberation War of October 1973, the Syrian Arab Army succeeded in liberating one-third of the Israeli-occupied Syrian Golan Heights. The Syrian Golanese, who remained under Israeli occupation, promised on this date, like all their compatriots, to follow the example of the Syrian soldiers who fell as martyrs both in the October War and in the current terrorist onslaught imposed on their country, until the total liberation of their homeland, Palestine, and the other Arab territories occupied by the Zionist Israeli entity. Our brave army has the full support of the children of our homeland, who is on this date ratify their determination to remain steadfast and resistant until they achieve total victory against the Zionist enemy and against their criminal tools and their Western sponsors, who occupy Syrian soil in order to fulfill their failed plan to dismember and disintegrate the Syrian state. Arab solidarity and unity marked the scenario during the October War of Liberation. An Arab rapprochement this is resurfacing today after the failure of the United States and Western project to isolate, weaken and overthrow the legitimate Syrian government, an achievement that the Syrians hope will allow, as it did 48 years ago, the Arab countries led by Syria to regain their prominent position as a nation that influences international decision-making.